Morning.
Good morning.
Ciao.
Maybe we can wait a couple of minutes and then start.
Well, in the meantime, I can send the paper.
Mhm.
Chat. How you doing?
Good, good. And you?
Good. There you go. Also the link?
Yeah.
Okay. Mhm.
Okay. Hello. Thank you. So, well, I think we can start. It's 9:31. Good morning, everyone. Today is already 9:31, and we can present an exciting paper. And our volunteer was Valentina. So I don't know what will the paper be about, but I'm sure it will be an interesting one. So the mic is yours. You can start sharing.
Can you able me?
Yeah. Make a co-host. Okay.
Okay. All right. Can you see the screen clearly? Awesome. So, hi everybody. I'm happy to be back to Neuroccino. I was away for a bit. Today I'm presenting a paper. The title is Architecture and Relationships Among Cognition, Mental Health, and Other Human Domains, revealed by network analysis perspective by Umberto Grazioli and Giorgia Cona. So the reason why I was very excited about this paper is because this paper aims to unite cognition and mental health and psychological related domains into a unified framework. On the perspective and on the behavioral perspective. And of course, as I'm very interested into this type of organization revealing framework, I was very happy to see something like this published and read it. So as I was saying, the goal of the authors was to reveal a latent organization of both healthy cognition and also mental health related scores and behavioral assessments. And they tapped into the sample provided by the Human Connectome Project that allows everyone, so it's freely available to access to their data set that comprehends both imaging and behavioral measures of, I think, more than 1,200 subjects. The author selected the behavioral measures that comprises questionnaires and experimental tasks, tapping onto a variety of cognitive and psychological domains, such as substance abuse, sleep quality, affective and personality traits, or more experimental related cognition, such as task on task switching or inhibition. Since their goal was to unveil the latent organization and relationship between all these functions, they used a specific type of network analysis, that is the They use the graph theory and in particularly the exploring graph analysis, exploratory graph analysis. So this analysis looks for nodes and connections between these nodes. The nodes are the variables of interest, and the edges, so connections, are weighted on the partial correlation between these nodes. So they perform first a partial correlation between all the variables that they collected, and then they plotted onto a graph network environment. So we can go directly to the first result, that is the network here. So since they their goal was to reveal some modules or some models, that explain cognition and mental health. They use the exploratory graph network because it allows to reveal clusters within the graph. So basically, the algorithm allows walks through the edges and find highly connected bits of the network, and colors all the all the nodes of these bits, sections of the network in the same color. So revealing models that explained all the latent structure of the network. And they found 7 different models. The red one is the mental health, that gathers all variables. I don't know if it's small, but maybe you can see here. Gathers all variables that are that relates to mental health, such as anger, hostility, life satisfaction, perception of reject, stress, self-efficacy, sleep problems, withdrawal, thought problems, anxiety, depression, consciousness, neuroticism, and extroversions. The blue one here, it's externalizing problems, meaning anger, aggressivity, rule-breaking behaviors, externalizing behaviors, hyperactivity, antisocial behaviors, and agreeableness. We will see why we have agreeableness within externalizing problems, or consciousness and extroversion within mental health. Just give me a second. Then we have the substance abuse cluster, the pain cluster that gathers measures of pain perception, low, or as they're referring to the manuscript, basic cognitive functions, that is the switching and inhibition, analyzed via these tasks, such as the flanker cast, the card sorting test, and the processing of the speed processing. The delay discounting task, that gathers 2 variables of this delay discounting task. That is a task that allows to see the difference in accepting or rejecting an amount of money according to whether the subject will receive that money in short term or delayed term. And high cognitive functions cluster that gathers all higher cognition domains, such as emotion, attention, intelligence. So I was mentioning that in the mental health cluster, we have so problems, basically, psychological and affective problems, but also these consciousness, neuroticism, and the extroversion variables that don't really refer to mental health problems. The reason is that indeed these variables here are actually negatively correlated with within the network, meaning that maybe consciousness and extroversion have a preservative role to mental health. And it's the same for externalizing problems. Agreeableness is never negatively correlated with the other nodes of the network, meaning that you might have a protective function. And this is shown in this table here, and I want to drag your attention on the last bit of the table, where it showed that the mental health cluster actually correlates with all the other variables, while in analyzing more graph theory related matrices, such as the strength of the node, meaning the weight of all the edges of a specific node, or the closedness, meaning I don't remember, I look in my notes, how much a node is closer to the others, and the betweenness, specifically betweenness matrix, that is how often a specific node is in between the connection with the other nodes. And here we can see that intelligence is actually a really high betweenness score, meaning that is at the gateway of many connection within the big network. And the author explained this because intelligence is mostly influenced by other factors than the cognitive ones, such as education and culture. So once they built this network and also they identified the models that explained this network, the authors use Bayesian network measurement to see the causality that might explain how the nodes or how the models within this network are related to each other. And in so doing, they found the arrows. So the arrows explain the causality on, or as they explain it, the influence of each model, of each cluster toward the other. And here we can see that the mental health is the network that mostly influenced the others. But very interestingly, it is influenced by the external the externalizing problems. And the author explained this because externalizing problems emerges during childhood, while mental health it really refers to the adulthood period. So the externalizing problems actually can influence the psychological and behavioral pattern of an adult. And then we have substance abuse that is really influenced by mostly from all the other models. And then yes, another very interesting finding is that they nicely actually observed that basic cognitive function influence higher cognitive function, suggesting maybe hierarchical organization of cognition. So this is the paper, and I hope you're excited about this as I am.
Thank you so much for presenting this paper. It is actually interesting, but I have a question. But first, if someone have other questions from audience. No? then I have a question. I didn't quite understand how did they choose 7 nodes and why do they name it that way, and why we have, for example, in low cognitive functions or basic cognitive functions, for example, flanker or card sorting tasks, they involve attention, and why does it consider to be low cognitive function? I didn't quite understand that.
Yeah, so so that is not a node, it's a cluster that is made up by those 3 nodes. And it's so the identification of the clusters is made up by the algorithm of the exploratory graph network. So this finds basically highly interconnected regions of the network, and then it basically treats them as separate bits of the network. And then the authors basically theory-based assigned a label to these clusters. And so the basic functions, they call it basic functions because they refer to speed of processing and inhibition as very low cognition, so processes that happened at the lower stage of a behavior that then it can build up to higher cognition, more conscious cognition. It is a really, it's actually a really debated. We were discussing this also during the brain hack that we did in Bordeaux, whether we should treat all these functions as cognitive, or if we should separate perceptual from cognitive, and which are the perceptual or low cognitive functions. So I guess the author, always literature-based, they decided that inhibition and speed of processing are low cognitive functions, and they actually found this influence of low toward high cognitive functions cluster that I guess confirms their hypothesis. So this is how they build the clusters.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Marcela has a question.
Yeah, thanks for sharing this paper, Valentina. I'm curious about the network you show, in which you have the different communities, right, that represent the different labels. So the links that are in color, they are the significant, I guess, relationship between the scores in the task. The one.
So you mean the lines between the small nodes?
Yeah, because there were only some of them in colors, red and green. So I guess the green one were negative correlations and the red ones were positive correlations or significant.
Let me get again the paper.
Yeah, I'm just curious because if they are significant correlations.
On figure 1, you mean?
Yes, with the
yeah. So they don't say it in they don't provide color code. So I guess you're right. I guess they represent negative and positive correlation, like in the figure, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I guess they represent the red ones, the negative, and the green ones, the positive correlation. And then the thickness of the lines represent the strength, meaning the thicker the line, the higher the correlation value. but they don't say it in the figure caption. So
yeah, I was curious because we didn't, or actually we don't see any link between the task or between the labels. We only see the significant ones. I guess they are significant within communities, but we don't see.
No, I don't think so. I think they show them all, because it's the a correlation value that makes the edge. So they put all the correlation values.
Yeah, but in colors we don't see any in colors between the. I mean, I guess they didn't find any significant correlation or very strong correlation between the different labels, like the different tasks.
I think so. Like the very thick one, I think they might be
okay.
They might be significant. Yeah.
Okay.
I think they have significant correlations.
Okay.
Yeah, because some in the text they provide some example.
Okay.
They say that, for instance, some. I'm reading right now. Some of the nodes of the of a cluster goes from 0.15, which is not significant, to 0.42, which might be significant. So
yeah, exactly. Okay. Yeah, thanks.
I'm still kind of suspicious about, I don't know, still, but you know, for example, list sorting and card sorting are in different clusters, and I don't understand. Like, it feels a bit. I cannot find the proper logic behind the titles and clusters.
I see. So yeah, so I had the same problem actually, because card sorting is task switching. And they refer to task switching as low basic cognition, but is it really?
Which is, honestly, it feels like weird because it's selective attention. It should be very complicated task, right?
Yeah, it's also maintaining of the task information. So yeah, I agree. But I see also their points. I mean, these are very task related measures, processing speed, maintaining of task information, and inhibition. So I guess they wanted to separate those from more global, higher cognitive functions that might be not strictly task related.
Sorry, Valentina. Did they name the communities before or after? I mean,
after. So they had some hypotheses on what the outcome of the clustering will be. So they refer to one model or multimodal hypothesis of how cognition is organized, and they actually find this kind of multimodal organization, but then they named the cluster after the analysis.
Okay.
So yeah, the analysis is not hypothesis driven, but data driven.
Okay. Yeah, because usually, as I know, for the community analysis, usually it's an algorithm that classify the most correlated data together. That's why some tasks that might be similar for us, maybe they are separated because the scores in the participants were different.
They were different. Yeah, that's exactly it. So I didn't read the supplementary. So my fault. So they might explain how they actually treat the the data, whether the data is normalized or they maintain the different scale of the scores. I don't know. But this might be something to look into. This might explain, as you were saying, the way the algorithm clustered the different scores.
And I have the last question, if no one else. But what do they actually talk about? Like in the end of the paper, where are they going with this model? Are they going to make it more detailized in details? I don't know. Or is there some hypothesis they're going to test in future?
Yes. They say that. So this is the beginning, meaning that this is the first model that explains both cognitive and psychological scores and traits, all in one big frame, and that since the HCP dataset provides also neuroimaging, it would be nice to also add the neuroimaging part to the model.
Okay. Thank you. Well, if everyone are satisfied, we can maybe end this session. Thank you again for Valentina for presenting this paper and everyone to participating, and see you next Monday and have exciting science this week. Bye-bye.